Hello, I'm doing a movie review, and the movie I want to review is the 2001 remake of Planet of the Apes. Now, if you've been watching my reviews recently, you would know I just recently reviewed all the original Planet of the Apes movies. Now, this was a film that I was actually hesitant to even review because a lot of times when I review all the films of a particular franchise and the first movie of that franchise had a remake, I sometimes skip over the remake completely, but I figured, you know what, if I skipped over this movie, people would be asking me why I'm not reviewing it, and I figured just to avoid confusion, I'll review the remake of Planet of the Apes. The film is directed by Tim Burton, who before this directed movies like Beetlejuice, the 1989 version of Batman, Edward Scissorhands, Batman Returns, Ed Wood, and Sleepy Hollow. The screenplay for the movie was written by William Broyles Jr. and Lawrence Konner and Mark Rosenthal. Now, William Broyles Jr., I believe before this, co-wrote the Ron Howard film Apollo 13, and Lawrence Konner and Mark Rosenthal, I know have worked together on a lot of projects. Before this, they wrote the 1991 made-for-TV movie Sometimes They Come Back, which was based on a Stephen King story, and I believe they also co-wrote Star Trek VI: The Undiscovered Country. Before Tim Burton was hired to direct this movie, I know people like Oliver Stone, James Cameron, Peter Jackson, and even Sam Raimi were considered to direct this movie. Now, even though this is a remake of the original Planet of the Apes, the film has almost a completely different story than the original film. And I'm not even sure if you could really call this a remake, since Planet of the Apes was originally a book, so I don't know if you would really call this a remake or just another adaptation of the book, but I'm gonna be calling it a remake because, honestly, the film has enough references to the original film that I'm calling it a remake instead of another adaptation of the book. Now, supposedly this movie follows the book more than the original film did. Now, I never read the original Planet of the Apes novel, but I looked up some of the plot synopsis online, and honestly, this movie doesn't seem anything like the book either. The only thing that I heard that this movie takes from the book is apparently the ending of this movie is supposed to be somewhat similar to the ending of the book, and also both this movie and the book take place on another planet, while in the original Planet of the Apes movie, you found out at the end that it was Earth the whole time. But really, that's the only similarities that I know of between this movie and the book. Now, the plot of the movie is it's set in the future. It begins in the year 2029, and in the future, apes are being used to pilot spacecrafts, and in the beginning of the movie, you begin following a character named Leo, played by Mark Wahlberg. Now, Leo, he's all pissed off that apes are pretty much taking jobs that were meant for humans, but what happens is, in the beginning of the movie, he's at a space station, and they discover what appears to be an electromagnetic storm, and this chimp ends up getting sent into the electromagnetic storm, and then it gets lost there. So Mark Wahlberg's character Leo, he ends up going to look for this chimp, and he gets lost in this storm, and one thing leads to another, and he ends up landing on an alien planet inhabited by both humans and intelligent apes, and on this planet, the apes rule over the humans. Essentially, humans are used as slaves on this planet for the apes, and Mark Wahlberg's character, he ends up getting captured captured and sold into slavery, but he manages to escape along with a few other human characters thanks to the help of a female ape, which you'll have to forgive me, I forgot this character's name, but she's the character who's played by Helena Carter in the movie, but they managed to escape, and basically Mark Wahlberg, he's looking for his ship, and he's leading these other human characters to there, and throughout the movie, he starts getting looked at as almost like a messiah by the other human characters, because he's given the humans a feeling of hope, and what happens is, as all this is going on, they're being pursued by a corrupt chimpanzee general named General Thade, who's essentially the villain of the movie, and General Thade in the movie is played by Tim Roth. Now, in the movie, Kristofferson has a small role in the movie. Now, he's the same guy who played Whistler in the Blade movies. The film also stars Paul Giamatti as an orangutan slave trader, and this character is kind of done for, like, comic relief. It also has Michael Clarke Duncan in it as a character named Colonel Attar, and it even has a cameo appearance from Charlton Heston, who plays the character of Thade's father in the movie. Now, when this movie came out, it received very mixed reviews from critics, and now the film has a very bad rep. Now, I will say this, I do not hate this film with the intense burning hatred that a lot of other people do, but at the same time, I do not think this is a very good movie at all. I will say this about the movie, I do find it to be a well-made movie. Like, I think Tim Burton, he does a good job at directing the film, and the makeup effects in this movie, if there's one thing in this movie that I do have to praise, it's definitely the makeup effects in the film. The makeup effects in this film for the apes is really damn good. But besides that, my problem with the movie is not how it's made, because I do think it's a well-made movie. My problem with the movie is the story. This film, in my opinion, has a very bland and mediocre story, and the film lacks any of the same social commentary which made the original Planet of the Apes films so great. Like, I'm not gonna say the film doesn't have social commentary in it. Like, you could look at the film as a commentary on slavery and racism, but at the same time, a lot of that was done in the original Planet of the Apes films, and done a lot better in those movies. And also, the film does have kind of a commentary on the negative effects of religion, because you realize that a lot of the reasons the apes hate the humans so much is because of what's written in their scripture, but at the same time, that was done in the original Planet of the Apes film, and done a lot better in that movie. You know, so once again, I think the story for this movie is very, very mediocre. Now, the film does have a few references to the original film, which I can see why it might annoy some people, but to be honest, those references really didn't bother me so much. Like, in the film, there's a scene where Michael Clarke Duncan's character says to Mark Wahlberg's character, "Get your stinking hands off me, you damn dirty human," which of course is a reference to Charlton Heston's iconic line from the original film where he goes, "Get your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty ape." And also, in the scene where Charlton Heston shows up, he plays an ape in the movie, but in that scene, he says, when he's talking about the humans, he says, damn them all to hell," which of course is a reference to another really iconic line from the original film, where he goes, "God damn you all to hell." Now, the film has a twist ending, which is different from the ending of the original film. Now, in the original film, you found out at the end that it was Earth the whole time, that the whole movie was taking place on our planet the whole time, only 2,000 years in the future. In this movie, it's pretty much clear from the beginning that it's a different planet, but there is a twist ending at the end of this movie, which I don't want to give away, but I will say that the twist ending of this movie makes little to no sense, and apparently it's similar to the ending of the book. And once again, I never read the book, but I'm pretty sure in the book the ending would at least be explained a little bit in the book. In this movie, the ending isn't explained at all, and you can tell that this ending was clearly made to set up sequels, and of course this film never had any sequels. But yeah, that's my review on Tim Burton's remake of Planet of the Apes. It's a very mediocre film in my personal opinion, but if you want to check it out and make your own opinion on it. But in my opinion, once again, I think it's a very mediocre film.